right, guys, welcome back. Yes, it is Essie and Scrappy, and it has been a minute.
It's been a little bit more than a minute.
It has, and we apologize. It has been busy. Lucas has obviously had a few things going on over the last few weeks in his life. We had the knockout and things like that, plus, a ton of things. I've been running around like a crazy person trying to do a lot of different things as well. So this is the first opportunity that we've been able to get back together to talk about everything that's happened over the last few weeks. And Lucas, let's start with a lot of really good events over the last few weeks that we didn't really get a chance to talk about. We're not going to go into any detail. Are there a few results, a few things that kind of stood out to you over the last few weeks that, if we had had the chance, we would have talked about?
Oh, what I will say when it comes to result, well, first off, actually, I appreciate everyone. I've had a number of friends and people just from the community reach out, check on me. For those, hey, I appreciate y'all. It's all love from the home team. So that really, I appreciate that. To start with, I don't know about necessarily. Well, we saw Cam Stinson and JJ Peace go to battle, which whenever you get an opportunity for a damn near consensus top two pound for pound wrestlers in a state to run heads up with each other, I'm always for it. And the match was worth the price of admission. So
Yeah.
that's awesome to begin with.
Yeah. And I would say shout out to Chasing the Charles, Giannis Charles's dad, who actually filmed the entire thing and then sent it so we could kind of get some
Yeah,
clips and see the
but
different
yeah,
things.
legit.
It
Big
was
shout out to
fantastic.
him. So then on Georgia side of things, listen, man. Listen, man. Social Circle, they win the Georgia grappler duels. And listen, I don't care what you tell me. They beat Buford, man. I don't care about availability. Look, the best ability is availability. I'm going to continue to say that. And my matrix is very much a fluid list. Social Circle, I think, now has a claim to being in the top two, top three in the state. Now, I'll tell you that when I release my next rankings, they'll be at number 3 pound for pound. They haven't eclipsed Buford because I still think in a traditional setting, I still think Buford would handle them. But big shout out to them. I mean, look, they win a dual tournament that had a handful of the best teams in the state. Shout out to Ola and Central Carroll too for scrapping. I mean,
Yeah. So I think that you can't take away from the accomplishment that Social Circle, that what they did accomplish. And I am a big believer in you wrestle who you bring. Now I do think, I mean, is there a little asterisk as it relates to Michigan winning a national title, in football because of all the kind of controversy and those sorts of things? There might be. Is there a little bit of an asterisk when you see a dual result and, Buford's missing Gorman and McCloskey were at Doc B and they're missing,
hell no.
those different things? I think you have to keep that in mind. Now, that doesn't diminish any of the wins that happened over the weekend or over the last week or so. Look, knockout. Cleveland brought their team. South Dade was in the hunt without EJ Solis. So you have to
Cleveland
keep
did
that
their
in
thing.
mind. But Cleveland did their thing. They took care of business with the people that they brought. Solis is now back in the lineup. It was after the knockout. Is South Dade a better team than Cleveland? I don't know. But I do know that we have one result and Cleveland finished ahead. Same thing. Social Circle, we have that result. Now, you could also look up what was it, the Cleveland duels earlier in the season where I don't know who Social Circle lost to. I don't know that they lost to Central Carroll or not, but both teams were, I think, at that event. So you have to kind of keep that in mind too. It's a body of work. It's not just one single event that plays into that situation.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I think asterisk is strong. I don't think it's necessarily an asterisk on it. I think it's something to note, but I don't think necessarily it's putting an asterisk on it.
I get you. It's hard. It's one of those situations where you're like, this kid lost to this other kid and he was banged up, or, this
Yeah,
happened or that happened. You're like, well, we're all banged up. Nobody's 100%, you
true.
know. So, I'm with you. I'm with you. By the way, do you believe there's an asterisk with Michigan winning a national title?
Eh,
I mean,
Again,
because
it's hard.
if you what's the saying? If you're not cheating, you're not trying.
Yeah, for sure. I I don't know too much about I don't pay attention that much to college football, so
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm not all too sure about what was the extent of what they were doing. So I don't know.
All right, I'm with you. What about let's go back in time to like the World Series. Was it the Houston Astros who were stealing signs or something like that?
Everybody steals signs though. The only difference was they got caught. Like everyone does it. They got caught. That was the only difference.
All right, all right. We were talking about, and I made a comparison of Michigan, and I talked about Social Circle, and that wasn't the same. That wasn't really an apt comparison because Michigan was characterized as doing something that was not, within the rules. Social Circle they just
What?
tried out their best
But
team and went
what is
and rest.
funny? What is funny is I know Nate Epler just happy about both of those wins.
Yes, he probably was. Although he might have been a Michigan. He might be a Michigan State fan,
Nope.
isn't he? No, he's not.
No.
Oh no.
No.
Okay.
Well,
Well,
he's a central. Well, he's a Chippewa fan, but when push comes to shove, if the team is from that state up north, he's gonna root for him.
got it. All right. Um, we also saw a few really, really good matches from the knockout. We saw Mills and De Janeiro. Talk about that
Yeah.
126-pound weight class with Peace and Stinson. Mills beating De Janeiro was crazy. It was a great match. Bartelt, 4-time knockout champion. That's pretty good. My question to you is, Gunnar Holland now, he how does he fit in the list of the best wrestlers to not have won a knockout
I'm
title?
not putting another one ahead of me because what's his name? What's his name thinks I'm fourth out of four already, so I'm saying fifth. I'm not putting another guy ahead of me. I'm Fangul. I'm not doing it. I refuse. Sorry.
All right. So a
I
lot's
love Gunner.
happened.
Love you, Gunner, but nah.
A lot has happened over the last few weeks. And yeah, it's been a lot of fun to kind of watch all the different things. But we turn to duels now, and it's duel season. We're focused on duels, particularly in Alabama, Georgia, and Florida, which are kind of beginning to get to their into the
Dual
midst of
cycles.
their duel cycle and everything else. Before we jump into that, and we're not going to talk about Georgia very much because we're going to wait till next week to talk about their duels. We're going to talk a little bit more in detail about Alabama and Florida's duels.
Yep.
But before we get to that, the GHSA it's been a bit of a challenge this year. From 8th grade wrestlers to an incident that occurred on the mat, I think on December 19th between North Paulding and South Paulding. And because it happened during the winter break, nobody made any decision. And as a result, they were handed down a 2-game or 2-match, I think, suspension, which was going to rob them of both their dual postseason and their individual postseason, because those are the two next events that are coming up. I learned today, I think it was earlier today, that the individual suspension has been lifted, so that is no longer an issue. The other one is it's already happened, so it's just the way it is.
Yeah.
How I want you to think about it from before we talk about kind of what happened in that situation. How challenging is it to get that, like to work as a team for your dual season and then that to be gone?
See, okay, this is what I'm going to say on this front. I can't even imagine what some of those guys are going through right now, especially the guys that might have been dual guys. They may not have a spot in the individual lineup, but they have a spot in a dual lineup to help the team.
Right.
So for those guys, man, my heart bleeds for you, genuinely. Like, no, this ain't no funny business. I genuinely mean it. That's rough. So there's that, man. This is just another example of a decision by the GHSA that is flagrantly idiotic. But we're used to it at this point. Like I hate being that way, but that's the way it is.
Well,
Like,
okay. All right. So let's take it from an objective point of view, right? We watched the video, and within the letter of the law of the rule book, stepping on the mat by a team is considered bench clearing. We didn't
the way
really
it's written is anytime at least the way it's written and the way it's been explained to me is anytime a wrestler steps from the non-wrestling surface onto the mat, it is technically, you can call it clearing the bench, which is bollocks.
right. And if somebody holds it to that letter of the law, then even though in the video we did, now hang on, we did see a couple individuals come over, and that's a whole other story,
Yeah,
right? We're
well,
not talking
I'm talking
about
about
those situations.
South Paulding's bench. I think the farthest I saw someone get out was 3 steps.
Right. Right.
Unless I might have been mistaken, but the farthest I saw a kid come out was like 2.5 steps from the start of the mat.
Yeah. And I want to say we saw several different angles of videos. We were sent different angles by lots of different people. It certainly seemed, I mean, it's a wrestling match. Of course, we're all hyped up when we're, they're engaged and everything else. It certainly did not seem egregious from what I witnessed. And it's a shame that it came to that. Is this the type of situation where if that occurs December 19th, that the GHSA they just can't take 2.5 weeks before making a decision? That just seems,
Well, yeah,
that's crazy.
it's not even crazy. It's how can you not see that could be a problem? That's my thing. If you get into a situation where you are like, we might have to suspend somebody on this, that's a decision that at that point, when okay, someone could be suspended for this, that decision needs to be made then, like at that moment.
Yeah, it certainly has to be made very quickly, no doubt.
Yeah,
I
like
can't.
that's where I'm at it, is it needs to be done ASAP so that they could serve their suspension and you don't ruin a kid's. Thank God they lifted the ban individually, because if they didn't, this conversation would be very different right now, and the way I'd be talking would be very different.
Yeah, and they did, and I that's one of the things I sent an email about, which was, what did they see that made them decide on this was the action that was going to be taken? You know what I mean? That's the part I don't get.
I'd like to know that too.
I would really like to know, like, what is it that you witnessed that made you reach this conclusion? And now that you've reached this conclusion, what was presented to you that made you retract it for the individuals? This is the part I don't get.
Hey, listen. Hey, bias, denies, tries, denies. Sometimes it's just going to be public opinion. Hey, it's one of those things where, hey, sometimes it's going to be what it's going to be, and got to figure it out from there.
All right. So we're not gonna spend too much time on this. It certainly has been an eventful year as it relates to some of the rules challenges within Georgia. If you're not in the state of Georgia and you're watching this, just know that all state associations handle things differently.
But yours are better. Sorry.
I wasn't going to go there, but it's all good. All right. let's take this over to you. Do you want to do Alabama or Florida first?
Let's do Florida first because they're in the earlier stages of their state duels.
So they are, although I will say almost all of the states, both Alabama and Florida, will wrestle a round or 2 rounds in this
Weekend.
this coming Thursday.
Yeah.
Okay. Now Florida has a little bit further to go along. So what we're gonna do with Florida is we're gonna take each region and just kind of talk a little bit about it and who might end up being in the Elite Eight. In Alabama, because it happened at this date and then this date and then the 19th and 20th or the 19th is the final, the semifinals and the finals. We're not going to touch upon this again next weekend or next week's show, unless you and I are completely wrong in our first predictions.
Yeah. If we got a mulligan, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But y'all are gonna get my predictions as of January the 9th at 5:11 Eastern.
All right.
Hey, you gotta say Eastern Standard because of Bama, Mississippi. Gotta say Eastern Standard.
Agreed. All right. So let's start in 1A in the state of Florida. And we started in Region 1. For those of you that don't know, Florida has 4 regions, and 2 teams out of each region will progress their way through and will meet in Kissimmee on January 19th in the Elite 8 part of that duel. So the top part, Rocky Bayou, Suwannee, Florida High, North Bay Haven, Episcopal, Baker County, Union County, and Fernandina Beach. Which out of those 8 teams which 2 do you see kind of moving their way through?
So I think the bottom side is pretty elementary. I like, is it Fernandina? How do you say that?
Fernandina.
I like Fernandina Beach to go through rather comfortably, probably over, I'm going to say Episcopal in the semifinal. To make their way to the Elite 8. That top side is a bit more interesting. Suwannee and Florida wrestled in their district final. North Bay Haven is always a threat. Give me Florida High, though, to get to the Elite 8. So out of that region, give me Florida High and give me Fernandina Beach.
Okay. So, and for those of you that don't know, the reason you're mentioning Fernandina and Episcopal is because those 2 teams, I think, had a pretty good tournament against one, or a good match against one another. I think 39-37 ended up being the final between the 2 of them.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean Union County and Baker County won't be in the hunt, but watch for that duel. That'll be an interesting duel. It's at Fernandina Beach. That's a positive for Fernandina Beach.
I think that for sure helps. Home mat advantage, especially for the postseason, I think is a big thing.
All right, let's jump over to Region 2. Hernando versus Mount Dora, Villages versus Weeki Wachee, Avon Park, Palm Bay, Cocoa Beach, and McKeel. Who are the 2 teams that move their way through that part?
I just want to say Weeki Wachee because that might be my favorite school name in the Southeast.
Even more than Weewahitchka?
Oh, we would hit. Oh, I can never. Bro, we throw dubs up for Weewahitchka. Come on now, that's family. They the first team in the Scrappy family. So shout out Weewahitchka. But out of here, Hernando looks rather clear on that top end. Palm Bay, Cocoa Beach. I think there's a couple in that bottom side. Give me Palm Bay though to make it through.
All right. Hernando and Palm Bay are who you think will be wrestling in that first round on January 19th in the Elite 8. All right. Let's jump down to Region 3. Dunedin, Zephyrhills Christian, Robinson, Anclote, Bayshore, Aubrey Rogers, which is a new school as far as I know, in the mix. First Baptist Naples and Lemon Bay. The thing that kind of stands out to me, there were 2 things that stood out to me, and I'm going to jump on this. Zephyrhills Christian is a good school. They have a really good number of wrestlers. I think they took second last year to Jensen Beach. They're a team to watch. First Baptist has some hammers, but I think they only have a few hammers. And that in a dual situation, that's tough.
Yeah.
So
Es-
who do you see?
espe- Especially when you run up against Lemon Bay round one at Lemon Bay.
Right.
With that being said, shout out to Aubrey Rogers, them getting the win over FBA. That's big for them. Out of the top side, give me Zephyr Hills. Not to say Anklet, Robinson, but I feel like Zephyr Hills is probably the team to beat. That bottom is tough, man. Bayshore ain't no joke either. Aussie FBA, Lemon Bay. I'm gonna go Lemon Bay. I'm gonna go Lemon Bay and Zephyr Hills out of region number 3.
Okay. And then we proceed.
This is the toughest region in the state of Florida. I don't care. Yes, there's a region in 3A with Southwest and Dade. That's great. This is one of the toughest regions I've seen in my life. Like how
Yeah.
deep it is. 6 teams could make it, and I believe it.
Yeah. No, it was this way last year. And the challenge for me is I understand Florida does it so that you kind of wrestle in your geographic area to get, through the
Yeah.
state tournament and everything else. But I think if we were doing like seeds and putting seeds in place, maybe your top 4 seeds are sitting right here in this region.
Damn near.
And 3 of them won't make it to the Elite 8.
That's nutty. That's so crazy. That's so crazy. It's
So
like I'm looking at.
you got
Okay.
Lincoln Park, Cardinal Gibbons, Coral Springs Charter, Jensen Beach, Mater Lakes, Key West, Florida Christian, Somerset Academy. Who runs the gauntlet? Who are the 2 teams that run the gauntlet? The 2 of them will make it to the Elite 8. Sorry, only one of them will actually make it to the Final 4.
Out of the top side, man, my gut is telling me Cardinal Gibbons. My mind is telling me Jensen Beach. Give me that Jensen Beach. That, you know what? In Mako we trust. Give me Cardinal Gibbons out of the top side.
That should be a T-shirt. In Mako we trust.
Steve, if you even think about making that shirt, I promise you it's coming through Fat and Scrappy. Don't even think about it otherwise.
I love it.
Out of the bottom side, man, I know that if I pick against Somerset, Kendrick Hodge is gonna at me, and I know that. Like, I know that's gonna happen. Man, Mater Lakes is good though. Is it at Somerset? Okay, at Somerset. Give me hell. Go my gut. Give me Mater Lakes. Give me Mater Lakes. Give me Cardinal Gibbons to go through. Kendrick Hodge, my at. Damn it, at me when I'm wrong. I don't care. Mater Lakes make me look like $1 million, please and thank you. So my 8 are Somerset, Cardinal Gibbons, Lemon Bay, Zephyr Hills, Palm Bay, Hernando, Fernandina Beach, Florida High.
All right. And we will revisit that next week if we got something wrong.
Oh, I could see me going like 5
need to
for
do
8.
a preview. We need to do a preview for the final LED.
I could see me going like 4 for 8 in that one. That's fine. We'll have to step back in that one for sure.
All right, let's jump to 2A in the top region. Region 1, we got Fort Walton Beach, Lincoln, Childs, Gulf Breeze, Middleburg, Fleming Island, Clay, and Oakleaf. Another squad with Middleburg, Fleming Island, Clay, and Oakleaf. That is quite good.
Yeah, that bottom one in this region is absolutely nuts. First, I think Childs gets through the top.
Okay.
I want to say comfortably, but I think Childs gets the job done.
I think it's Lincoln, but okay, I'm with you.
I don't know, man. I like my team of Childs. I think they're peaking at the right time. They had a good district performance. Give me Childs. Bottom side. Man, I have a wild hair to pick Clay, but I think that, man, Fleming. Here's the thing about Fleming and Clay. That rivalry runs so deep in the panels of those schools' history. It's almost like Ohio State, Michigan. It's like the Bears and the Packers. It's like Auburn, Alabama. It doesn't matter how good those teams are, because when they step foot in that game, in that duel, anything is possible. But I'm gonna go Fleming. I'm gonna go Childs and Fleming. But I could see that bottom one going left.
All right. So I like Clay and I like Oakleaf and Middleburg, but I agree with you. Fleming Island is my pick out of the bottom. Up top on Region 2, I guess District 6 didn't have a tournament. I don't know what happened. I don't know what's going on in that situation. But River Ridge and Land O'Lakes, they'll do it again for a slot in the Elite Eight. On the bottom, we've got Gateway, Winter Springs, Lyman, and Lake Gibson. Does anybody knock off the defending champs in Lake Gibson, or will they push their way through?
I think they'll punch their ticket through to Osceola. I think it'll be pretty comfortable. Lake Gibson has looked incredible all year long. And let me take Land O'Lakes to go with them.
Okay. Down in the bottom, Region 3 quad, Braden River, Manatee, Palmetto, and Jesuit. 4 teams ranked by Cabra in the top 20. Jesuit is ranked by us in the top in the Southeast. So you got that group, and then you've got Port Charlotte, Naples, South Fort Myers, and a very good, tough Charlotte squad.
Yep. Top side, I'm gonna go with Jesuit. I think them and Manatee will meet in that second round. It's at Jesuit. I think that helps them a lot. Um, Bottom side's interesting. I think home mat is gonna help Charlotte more if they weren't already the favorite. I think that kind of is the nail in the coffin. Give me Charlotte and Jesuit to go through.
So what's interesting to me is that Jesuit was just a cradle cancer down at Jensen Beach, and I think they were missing a few of their hammers in the lineup. And I'll tell you what, if they are missing a couple, other teams in that area could knock them off. I don't think they will,
But
and
it's there
but it's there. You've got to keep that in mind. So,
for sure.
all right, down in Region 4, we've got Heritage, Okeechobee, South Fork, and Merritt Island. Archbishop McCarthy, Mater Academy, not Mater Lakes, but Mater Academy, Homestead, and Miramar. Region 4, 2A, who emerges and will be in the Elite Eight.
This one's tough for me. This one's probably the one that I know the least about. I know Miramar and Merritt Island have been perennially the teams to come out of here. I've heard of some guys out of Okeechobee. I've heard of a guy or two out of Archbishop McCarthy. Those are possibly who you'll see in the sems, but I'm gonna go with Miramar and Merritt Island. So my 8 out of 2A is Miramar, excuse me, Merritt Island, Charlotte, Jesuit, Lake Gibson, Land O'Lakes, Fleming, and Childs.
All right. Let's jump to the big class in the state of Florida in
The big
Region
guys.
1. Bartram Trail, Flagler Palm Coast, Buchholz, Creekside. And then we have Haggerty, Ocoee, Olympia, and Timber Creek. Region 1, 3A. Who are the 2 teams that will find their way into a trip to Kissimmee?
Man, a solid region. I mean, you look at, I think the semis will probably break out as FPC and Buchholz. And then on the bottom side, Haggerty and I'm going to say Timber Creek. It's a good region. Like I said, give me Haggerty and give me Buchholz to get the job done and make their way to Osceola.
I think that might be the first trip for Buchholz if they were able to make that happen. That would be, you know what? I haven't done any research on that. I need to do some research and see which of the teams would be making their debut in the state duels. That would be kind of fun, All right. 3A Region 2 features George Jenkins, Steinbrenner, Strawberry Crest, and the Osceola Cowboys. You got Plant City, Palmetto Ridge, Riverdale, and Lakewood Ranch. Just so everybody knows, South Dade is not your defending state champions in the duels. It is Palmetto Ridge. Palmetto Ridge did graduate Tyler Washburn and many other hammers from that squad. Do they make a return trip to defend their title?
I look at that bottom side. Riverdale has some dogs. Plant City is criminally underrated. Good, but not. I think Palmetto Ridge will make their way to Kissimmee, and I think Osceola will make their way home, actually. So I think pretty elementary, this region as a whole.
Okay. Region 3 features Freedom, Vieira, Fort Pierce Central, and Harmony, Dwyer, Olympic Heights, Wellington, and Jupiter. So I'm going to go ahead and begin this one and say I think Fort Pierce Central and Harmony is a really underrated, good opening duel. And I think you might want to keep an eye on Harmony. Wellington and Olympic Heights, they had a great duel earlier. I think it was a couple weeks ago, and it came down to just a couple of matches. If you're a coach, like, and you're on the losing end of a duel previously, and you know you've got 2 matches or 3 matches that you have to turn, are you looking to shift your lineup, or are you looking to try to, motivate those kids to get those wins? You know what I'm saying?
I think situation matters, obviously, and I am a firm believer in DWWD. Do what we do, and it's one of those things where if I put my best lineup out there and it loses, I'm not necessarily going to start shifting things. It might be hey, we gotta execute better. Unless looking back, it's one of those things where I think every situation is different, but as a whole, I think you run your dogs and say, all right, look, this is what we're look, we got this many bullets in the gun. I'm not going to go try to buy more bullets. I'm not going to try to change the clip. I'm going to put what I got, and we're going to go.
All right.
For
So,
me,
yeah, who are the 2 teams?
man, I like freedom. I like freedom. I do, and I'm willing. I'm going to go out on a limb. Give me freedom to get through the top side, and then give me shout out John Chuck and the crew. Give me Olympic Heights.
All right.
I trust what that program has set in place over the past handful of years, and I think that they're seeing the fruits of it now.
All right.
Okay, real quick. Dayton, Southwest Miami, in the same side of the bracket is egregious. Florida. That's the one thing you got to fix. That's heinous. What are we doing?
Yes.
That's like Hampton and Buford having to face off to decide who gets to the Elite Eight.
Yes. So actually I think that's a really good point. And you're going to see it in Alabama as well, especially in 7A, where the 7A North is a similar kind of situation.
Oh yeah. We'll get there when we get there.
But for people in Georgia or people in a couple of the other states, imagine 2 of your best teams having to wrestle way early before the trip even to Kissimmee. That's tough, man.
Yeah.
That is not.
It's nutty.
Yeah,
it's nutty to me.
All right.
But
so
beyond
we got Coral Springs, South Plantation, Western, and Douglas up top. And then you've got, man, just a wonderful quad. I wish I was in Miami because I would totally go out and watch Columbus take on South Dade, Southwest Miami versus Doral Academy. Those 3 matches, Columbus, South Dade, Southwest Miami, Doral Academy, and the winners against each other is a treat to go watch.
Yeah, and by the way, don't sleep on Doral Academy there. That's a team that if you sleep on, they'll put you in some trouble. Out of that top side, I really like Coral Springs, and I also like Douglas. And Douglas being at home, sorry, it's at South Plantation. I thought it was at Douglas. Excuse me. Give me Douglas, and then give me Dade. So my 8
totally going out on a limb on South Dade. I'm with you.
Yeah, man. Sometimes you gotta pick the underdog, and because I'm such a front runner. Give me Dade, give me Douglas, give me Olympic Heights, give me Freedom, give me Palmetto Ridge, Osceola, Haggerty, Buchholz to make the 8 in Osceola.
All right. So let us know if we got it right or we got it wrong. You know what? You won't have a whole lot of time because this will post and then the wrestling will happen and we will know pretty quickly. Look for our picks for the actual Elite 8 next weekend when we do Georgia as well. Alabama, though, we're going to go all the way through. So let's jump to Alabama 1A, 4A. And this is small school in the state of Alabama. And it's a really good bracket. It's a very interesting bracket. I think that the bottom quad of this bracket with Weaver, Dora, Corner, and Piedmont are solid. You got John Paul II in there, St. James, Oak Grove. 1A, 4A is definitely one of those situations where if you can get a couple of pins and you can put up those bonus points, teams can really find a way to win when maybe they're not necessarily the best team if they can get a couple falls in a particular place. So
Yep. And
so yeah. So what are you thinking as you look at the bracket?
I'm gonna. I actually see this going a very interesting way. Give me Oak Grove to get to the semifinal, where I think that they'll see St. James. Give me St. John Paul II to make the sems. And give me Corner to see them there.
Okay, corners. They've wrestled really well, but
They
Weaver has been the number one team all season long.
Man, it's one of those things where I feel like Corner's peaking at the right time, and I think that they have a couple of matchups that they can make. That if they get the coin flip, I think that they could put Weaver in a precarious predicament.
All right, so
And
actually,
then,
let's not pick all the way to the finals. Let's stop right there at the semis. I like that. You
okay,
want to stop there? Let's stop there because
sure.
I wonder if we're gonna be right or wrong.
Oh, because the next week is the
January 19th is the semifinals and the
gotcha.
finals.
Okay, yep, that works for me. Yep. So my semis give me Corner and St. John Paul II. Give me St. James and Oak Grove.
All right, let's jump to 5A, and we're only
I'm
gonna
gonna get
pick the
I'm gonna get brutalized for that one.
so
I can hear the text messages now.
So 5A is just like 7A because there's a smaller number of teams. We only have an 8-team bracket here in 5A. And so we're really only picking the first round
Yeah,
to get to this point. For me, look, there is no I don't want to say that it couldn't happen in a different way. But for me, the top 4 teams are pretty clearly Gulf Shores, Tallahassee, Jasper, and Scottsboro. Do you
yeah,
agree with that?
I agree with you there. I think that's probably a fair assessment.
Is there any of the other 4 teams that you think could surprise?
I think Hayden's tough. I think they could surprise Scottsboro. If Scottsboro ain't, if they ain't, coming in ready to go. Southside is another good team, but I think we'll see Gulf Shores and
Tallahassee.
Tallahassee. Thank you, and then give me Scottsboro and Jasper.
All right. 6A. Maybe the most interesting classification to get to the semifinals because look, you look down there on like line number 14, you see Gardendale. The pose, they've got some studs, but this is a duel, and a duel is a whole other ball game.
Agreed.
Mortimer Jordan is a really solid squad from top to bottom. For me, the top quarter with McAdory, Homewood, Pelham, and Mountain Brook is the best quarter of this group. How do you see this playing out? Who's going to make the semifinals?
Agreed. I really like that top side. So let's do it like this. That first quarter, give me Homewood to run that gauntlet.
Oh, okay.
I like them a lot, and I again, this is as well. This is I don't know as much about Alabama. I could be this could be my just I like them a lot.
No,
Give me
I think it's a good pick. Mountain Brook did beat them, but I do think that Homewood has a squad that can definitely make their way. There's no doubt about it.
give me Wetumpka to see them in the semifinal. Give me. I'm torn between them and Pike Road. Man, give me Wetumpka. Yeah, I'm gonna say Wetumpka. Give me Hartzell to make the sems.
Okay.
And then, man, I got a wild hair at my to take Gardendale because I really like them and I think they're tough. But Mortimer Jordan to me has looked like the best team. I think you could make an argument that they have looked like the best team in Alabama for a lot of this season. So
Well, they certainly have sought the competition.
Give
So
me more and more. Give me more and more Jordan. But Gardendale could very well surprise them, and it wouldn't necessarily shock me.
okay, all right. So let's jump to who's your semis? Your semis are Homewood versus Wetumpka, Hartzell versus Mortimer Jordan.
Yep.
Okay. All right. And now in 7A. And again, we're only picking the first round because it's an 8-team bracket. It is the now North versus the South. You know, I have a lot of ties to Vestavia Hills, so it is unusual if you know the history in Alabama to
Yeah, it's
not
weird
see
not seeing them in this mix.
to not see them in the bracket is unusual, but it is an indication of how good the North is. And the fact that Thompson took second to Hewitt Trussville, but Huntsville has shown to be the team all season long. They are the defending champs. Will they make their way to the semifinals, beat Thompson?
I think they will. You know, look, it's Thompson though. You know what I mean? Like if Thompson, if we come back here next week and Thompson beat him, I'm not gonna do the Macaulay Culkin face. Like it's Thompson. But give me Huntsville, Bob Jones, and Hewitt Trussville. That's one hell of a quarterfinal duel.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say Hewitt Trussville. Yeah, I'm gonna say Hewitt Trussville. Give me Enterprise over Baker, and then give me Smith Station. I was thinking about Daphne. I'm heavily considering Daphne, but give me Smith Station and Enterprise, HT and Huntsville.
All right, guys, that is Alabama and Florida all the way to the semifinals in Alabama, the Elite Eight in Florida. Georgia is wrestling their region duels, area duels last weekend and this weekend. I didn't see anything unusual from the few results I got.
That's the thing is I didn't really see that many actual results. Nothing
Right.
that jumped off the page to me where I was like, hey, we got to at least mention this.
So Georgia, we'll talk about Georgia, Florida, and Alabama next week. Tennessee and South Carolina and North Carolina, I think we're still a couple of weeks away for their dual state tournament. So we'll see how all that plays out. All right. Any parting shots from Fat and Scrappy or Lucas Da Silva as we head to the next week?
You know, I'll throw one thing out there. Shout out Odyssey Jiu-Jitsu, who I've been training with one of their brown belts, and I'm going over there on Thursday. But this weekend at it's American Grappling Federation Atlanta Championships, I'll be entering my first jiu-jitsu tournament, which is I'm very excited for. This is something I've wanted to do for a handful of years, so it's I'm very, very excited for this.
All right. Now you're gonna have to educate me a little bit. Are there weight classes in jiu-jitsu?
Yeah. There's weight classes. Yeah.
Is it just like wrestling? Is it like,
Mm.
or is it more like, or is it big? Like, is there bigger jumps?
Well, so it goes like 205, 220, 235
Okay.
is on the upper end of it. You know, it's kind of like wrestling where down low it's a little closer, but then when you get a little higher up, it spreads out
a little bit more.
Okay. Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, we appreciate you tuning in. We apologize. It's taken us a few minutes to get back to it, but hopefully we will be doing a ton in the coming weeks. Lucas, not to put you on the spot, but are we going to see some new Georgia rankings here pretty soon?
Hopefully. I'm hoping like by the end of the week, but at the weekend. And you'll see Mississippi rankings too. Okay. Those are done. You can make a post.